So the topic for this particular conversation is managing to live with creative people, writers living with creative people, and how they manage not to kill each other. So let's start going from left to right so that everybody can introduce themselves.
I'm Marty Ketola. I'm a local filmmaker. I've made 3 micro-budget movies.
We're being totally...
Hey guys, do you mind? Thank you.
Got to get rid of the Mandalorians real quick.
It's like if I can't hear you, I'm pretty sure they can't hear you.
Okay, take 2. Hello, I'm Marty Ketola. I'm a local filmmaker. I've made 3 micro-budget films, and I used to host a public access show for 25 years before Access TusCon closed down.
Define micro-budget.
Only a couple of $1,000s.
Okay.
Yeah, no big budget here.
That's actually amazing.
And I live by myself, but I do have a writing partner, so I can sympathize with the driving each other nuts part.
Okay. Erin?
You stole the best part. My name's Erin. And I am a writer, I'm an editor, freelancer. I lived in an artist colony type situation in Tucson, and then I also was married to an artist. And yes, that was in the past tense. So I checked the box to be on this panel with some sense of irony and hoping to learn. But I've definitely encountered various challenges and situations that I can speak to.
Okay.
I'm J.L. Doty. I write contemporary urban fantasy, usually YA, and hard science fiction. I have 9 published novels. I started out self-publishing, and that led to a lot of success, and that led to some traditional contracts with HarperCollins, Voyager, Open World Media. And I'm also married to an artist. She takes oil on canvas, and watercolor drawings, and what really makes it fun is that I'm also a scientist. I'm a physicist with a PhD, and I can be the most analytical asshole you have ever met when it comes time for an argument.
Hello, everybody. My name is William Herr. I am a fat, dumb, ugly truck driver. They invited me by mistake and told me they'd give me free booze if I talked on panels.
You don't look fat.
Yeah, well, I bought this book. It's actually really good. You should buy it and read it. There are no pictures, though, so I haven't read it myself. Seriously, my name is William Herr. I am a poet, playwright, author, truck driver, adrenaline junkie, adventurer, and I live with an immensely beautiful and talented young lady who is many years my junior and who is a chef and who I have divorced 3 times, and it's never taken. However, we have found a way to make our marriage work and to work through the creativity problems between the 2 of us, and it involves bringing fighting to almost a performance art, and in fact, on occasions, performance art. So that's where I'm coming from. So where shall we begin? So what can you tell me when you, Marty, when you're having, what are the issues that you come up with dealing with other creative individuals in your life?
Obviously disagreements on where stories should go. So I have a screenwriting partner, and then sometimes I'll have one idea and I'll have a completely different idea. You just work through it and try to find some sort of compromise. Yeah, I know it's kind of vague, but it's a start.
Erin?
I think
you've got horror stories, right?
Well, I mean, the horror, like a good slow building Shirley Jackson horror story, maybe. Yeah, it erodes. Like the way I experienced 2 artists trying to always have their own space to do their art, and then just kind of growing apart. So that was what it was. There's something definitely about everybody needing their space as an artist to create. Been trying to navigate that so that you match up if it's somebody you want to spend time with, not just a roommate, to try to find the time at the same time when you want to be spending quality time. That was one of the big things.
My wife and I have this 3,200 square foot home northwest of Tucson. And I have one bedroom as an office, completely, it's all one story. The other end of the house, she has her studio where she paints. And that helps. We don't fight, but she's just completely right-brained and I'm completely left-brained. And so we don't communicate really well sometimes. It's like this, and I don't want to say that she's the one who's at fault. It's like I said, I can be real analytical. So, but I think we all tend to be as artists. We kind of go with our instincts, and that doesn't necessarily all of us do, whether you're right brain or left brain.
Okay, as I said, my wife and I have been divorced 3 times. We're not proud of it, but we're not ashamed of it. Okay, we've managed to find a happy way to continue because we're very much in love. Okay, we very much need each other, but at the same time, when we were first married, you were 22, I believe. She was 22, I was 28. I was pursuing my writing career. I was before our son was conceived. And she was pursuing her career as a chef, and we never fought, ever. Never fought. We would get quieter and quieter and then just let it back away. And of course, when you do that, everything builds up. Everything builds up, and it gets in the back of your brain. And you're liable to just explode at each other over something ridiculously small. And it took us 3 divorces to finally figure out we really need to fight. Okay, we need to fight and scream at each other.
This is 3 real divorces.
3 real divorces.
I'm surprised she didn't give you a 38 caliber circumcision.
Well, it's just one of those things. If she actually did that, she might have lost custody of our son. So she had to find a way to work with me. So we came up with the solution that we fight and scream at each other on a regular basis about absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's performance art.
So what is it about artists that we wouldn't get along?
Well, for us, it's because we love each other. And we don't want that negative feeling going back and forth between us, right? Because negativity, especially with artists, can absolutely kill your ability to produce, okay? And if you've got this, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, that's going to be in your head for the rest of the day. You're not going to produce anything of any real value for the rest of the day. However, in our case, and I'm not saying it's the same way for everybody, well, let me give you an example, okay? How we get rid of all the tensions, okay, without actually attacking each other. I walk into a grocery store, okay, and we're grocery shopping, and we're walking down, and something is bugging me in the back of my head, and I don't quite know what it is. And we walk past the dairy aisle, and I stop and I look at the dairy aisle, and there is chocolate milk.
Now, is he going to start a fight right now?
Yes.
Probably.
As an example.
Okay, as an example, there is the chocolate milk, and it is 2% chocolate milk. So tell me, what in the hell is the purpose of having 2% chocolate milk? You're going to fill it up with sugar anyways and eliminate all the taste, and you're going to give it to me, and I'm not going to like it, but it's going to make me fat anyways. Why not just give me all the fat, add a little bit more, and reduce the sugar? Huh? And of course, well, she'll come back, well, fat's bad for you, and it says, well, fat is not bad for you. And I'm sitting here, I'm screaming in the middle of the grocery store.
You have trouble expressing yourself, don't
Yes, I do. Okay, but at the end of about a 15-minute period, the manager comes running over.
Really?
Yes,
Does
we
this
have.
really happen?
Yes, this has actually happened. The manager comes running over because we've got a group of men over on this side. Okay, going. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That too. And we got a group of women over here surrounding her, going. Oh no. Okay. It looks like there's a major war about to start because we're screaming back and forth. This also works really well to get rid of door-to-door sales. Just saying. And that's.
Any salesman that works on commission just start one of these arguments debating the pros and cons of the product. They suddenly decide, you know what, you guys need to talk, I'll be over there.
I have a new strategy. I just tell them I voted for Trump and attack him. You know?
But that's where I sit. Anybody else have anything to add?
My wife and I try not to fight. And you do a pretty good job of it. And interestingly enough, she's the one person that I trust to be bluntly honest with me about my writing. She's nice about it, but if she doesn't like something that I've written, she'll tell me, that it's rotten, that it's not working, that it's, and that doesn't trigger anything in me because that's what I need. And I'm brutally honest when she's painting something and I'm looking at it and I can't figure out what the hell it is. So I'm very honest with her about that. And she appreciates that. We don't fight that much. I don't want a 38 calendar circumcision.
You asked what about artists? I thought that was a good question. Like what makes it so difficult? One thing is I think just money, just not it doesn't tend to be the highest paid profession, and even if one or the other of you is doing well, it's not steady. So there's a lot of financial pressure, and I think that makes it difficult if you're living with somebody. Or the other situation I had was an artist's colony type of thing, and there was one person who's the landlord and the running the nonprofit and kind of in all of the authority positions, and so you're paying your rent to this person. If you want like a reading or board position, it's kind of all going to go through this person. And so speaking of oligarchy and Trumpism, it didn't work. It was very difficult to navigate that kind of a situation. So I would think maybe if you're going to do some kind of an artist colony, if I were going to try it, I wouldn't have one person in charge of so many things. And also avoid things like giving everybody on the board, like having people on the board start the money coming in and just going to the board. That started to get weird.
Oh, wow. That sounds really weird.
Yeah. Just they're studying the ethics of how things like that are done, running organizations and nonprofits. It's been done many times before, and we don't have to make all the same mistakes again. And then I did at one point, after having my ex, come in and try, just very, very honestly, just want to talk to me or have a conversation with me when I was in my office space. And for me to just say, like, I can't right now, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be here right now. And just how rough that was. I got an office for myself, and that was great, and it was outlay. It's money, I can write it off on my tax return, great, but it's still extra money that I was paying to sort of help us get around a very uncomfortable situation while he continued being a student, student loans. So I wouldn't overlook little things like money for creating powder cake.
Money's a great relationship destroyer.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships just dissolve over money issues.
Yeah.
Well, you can't really blame somebody because of money issues, but at the same time, you do, right? And you can't see anything about it, but that's building up. And I know that probably hurt us a lot at the outset, because I think We would have been able to have two pennies to rub together if we had had more than one. Okay, and I literally during that period was shoveling shit for a living.
Money's a problem in every marriage, I think, unless you've got lots of it.
No, even if you have lots of it, it's still a problem.
Well,
It's just different.
somebody said something, and I have to paraphrase them a little bit. Money doesn't make you happy, but if you've got plenty of it, it's one less thing to worry about. And money, I think there've been a lot of studies. Money is a factor, is a stress factor in any marriage where you don't have a lot of money, and then other stress factors come into play when you do have a lot of money. Now, my problem, my wife, my wife's a very intelligent woman, but she's like a little pack rat when it comes to these shiny little balls. It's like we come here, and if she walks into the dealer's room, jewelry. It's like she just lost all sanity. She's now just completely right-brained, and she's just going to spend whatever money she has to. But we don't get in a fight because I turn around. I'm subservient.
When my wife gets to that point, I pull out my wallet, I hand it to her, and I say, "Make sure we've got something left to pay the rent." And I walk away. And usually there's a woman there who says, "He is such a good husband." You have such a great husband. Do that for fabric stores too.
But what is it about two artists that make us clash?
Because we think alike. We think alike, but in different ways. I mean, isn't that what it really is? I mean, we think alike, we reason alike, but our priorities are different depending on what art we're doing. And if, you do want those opposites. You want somebody to support you and whom you can support. How can you support yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. There's a problem with so much similarity.
But at the same time, there's a lot of differences. He and I are very simpatico for many levels.
No, we're not. You are so completely misrepresenting me. I can't believe this.
But the areas where we are not, we basically learned, I think it goes back to your left brain, right brain. We have scenarios like that. We tried to build a bookcase, and that was almost divorce number 4. And it was a very simple bookcase. It's just he looked at the instructions, and he wanted to do this with this tool, and I looked at the instructions, and I figured it would be faster to put it away together this with this tool, and we were driving each other insane. So
my wife and I, long ago, we never do anything like that. Never together. We eat and drink together, and we go to a show. We have lots of things we like to do together. We never build.
So we basically found the different areas in our marriage where, okay, you're better at this, so you take care of that, I don't want to hear about it, what's this problem? Yeah.
Like cooking. Just, it's all you. I'm a horrible cook.
Right. In a way, that's pretty much how I run my business with my partner. Like, I just handle the financial part, and he doesn't want to know anything about that. Because it's like you take care of the part that, trust. There's a lot of trust involved. And it also helps having known the guy for 30 years. The nice thing about being opposites is if you can come together, you can create that thing that neither one of you could do on your own because of your unique different outlooks on
things. Do you work
things.
with your partner on the same project?
Yeah, we write scripts together.
Okay.
We'll do a pass and pass it back and forth. I'm usually the guy who is like, I hear an idea, and I'm like, oh, that's a terrible idea, right away. And then about an hour later, I start to think, well, maybe he's got something to that. It's usually a frustration that then leads to a breakthrough, I've noticed. And so maybe sometimes you have to clash and fight a little bit to come out the other end and realize, hey, there's the great idea that we never would have had we not clashed with each other.
Do you have any rules for fights or anything?
Not really. We're civil with each other because we know that we're only passionate about it because we want the product to be good. It's not about ego at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have rules for your fights?
Try to. Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, there's a thing about fighting fair is just sort of you fight fair or you don't, and I won't ever be with somebody who doesn't know how to fight fair ever again. We tried techniques to learn that, but listening is important. So I mean, for what we can control, I mean, learning to really listen. There was like a method that we tried where you first listen. One person's going to be in the expressing mode while the other person's in the receiving mode, and they speak and they get to say their piece entirely, and then you like tell them what you heard and then acknowledge it and validate it and make some kind of a commitment over it. And then if you have something to say back, you go through that process again. And it was good. I mean, it was good.
See, all of that would really piss me off.
Except, yeah, well, the thing is, like, I just felt like it was kindergarten and I was in master's. Like, I just do that kind of thing naturally. I listen, so.
Joanne and I, we know how to fight fair. But when you're angry at somebody, there are two levels, okay, that you have to deal with. There is an intellectual level. You know what's going on. You know that this is a disagreement. You know that you're right and they're not, but that doesn't matter because you've got a different perspective, even though you're always right. Actually, she's right all the time. She's always right. It pisses me off. But at the same time, there is a passion level. Mm-hmm. If you do not address if you do not find an outlet for that anger, it doesn't matter whether you know that there's nothing wrong there. That anger is a pressure gauge. It is going to build up. Okay, now you get into an argument later over whose turn it is to drop the toast very loudly. Okay, and you're bringing up things from the past that, of course, your partner can't do anything about. Okay, can't defend because they can't even remember doing it. You know, like, give me something that I can't remember that I did wrong. I'm an evil man. I'm just an asshole.
When you put me on the spot to remember when something happened.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. But you start bringing up things from the past. It doesn't even matter if they actually existed, or it might be that you're just bubbling over with anger. Anything's going to set you off, and there was no way to release that. So, getting that passion out has nothing to do with your pardon me, with your intellect, and everything to do with just the raw emotion that you've got going. And we're artists, and you have to get rid of that emotion. So we sit there and we scream at each other. We scream about nothing. We don't care about what we're yelling about. Now our son says, you know what, I love the way our family fights. You know, we don't care who we're in front of because we don't hate each other. We're not mad at each other. We're just screaming and we're passionate. And when something really big does show up, that should just knock us completely out of the loop, we sit down and say, okay, what are we going to do about this? What do you think? Okay, this is what I think. Okay, let's figure out. We can calmly and rationally work our way through problems. And then, the next day, we can be arguing about what the best ice cream in the world is, okay, at the top of our lungs. And the passion is there, and everything stays alive.
Yeah. Well, I've never tried that. I don't see it. I don't see it working for me. And you were saying that the thing we tried would have driven you crazy. So
it would drive me crazy, but if it gets really heated, I'd rather just walk away and calm down. You know, mm-hmm. That would be my preference. Just go time out. I want to walk away.
Yeah.
I'll be pissed off for a while. Yeah. Calm down. And maybe not even come back and talk about what we're arguing about, because it's, as you say frequently, it's completely needing shit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me that like creative people tend to be really obsessional and often compulsive as well. And so if you have two people who are really obsessional in the same relationship, that seems like to me, or maybe that's just my marriage.
I think you're right about the obsession part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how do you cope with obsessional qualities in here? Because if you're both creative, you're probably both obsessed. So how do you deal with it?
Well, one thing that's going on for me now is, like, it's another method. of like talking on Wednesday. We have talk because this is a new partner-ish. It's like 2 years, but since the last one was 16, it still feels new. And Wednesday nights, like, we have a scheduled talk. So if you're obsessing over something, you can actually like put it on the schedule.
That would drive me insane.
Put it on what?
On
You
the
can
schedule.
put it. We're going to talk about
Because I would spend all my time, I am so going to get her. I'm going to
issue
get her.
with
I'm going to get her.
the fucking pancakes. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday. And
What do you have a problem with pancakes about?
that, I'm just going to keep my mystery about that.
Oh, okay.
Because pancakes are just a vehicle for syrup. No, they're not. I like waffles.
So I don't know. For me, it helps if I'm obsessing about something. There's something about, because I do that, and then this guy's an engineer, and I don't know. He probably does obsess, but it seems in a different way. And so for me, my mode is almost like I'm going to forget about it if I don't think about it all the time. So that's why putting it on the schedule like helps me let go of it somehow. It's like, okay, we're going to get to this later. I can now go maybe focus on, I'm focusing on my writing and somehow I feel better. That's weird. I'm not sure we need to talk about pancakes next Wednesday after all. Cross it off.
I guess you'd have to respect each other's OCD, but at the same time learning that maybe some of your obsessiveness drives the other person crazy and try to curtail it a little bit. Just try to work with each other.
Yeah.
I can only speak to the way that Joanne and I we do both obsess, but we obsess about completely different things. We don't obsess about each other. At least I don't obsess about you, but I'm sure you obsess about me because I look like Elvis. But for instance, I love to give this story because it happens all the time, and it's obvious proof that I'm too insane to be in a normal society. I'll be talking to somebody like yourself, right, and we'll just be having a wonderful conversation, and I'll just blank out. And Joanne will catch it, and I'll just be staring off into space. She'll come over and she'll grab me, and she'll lead me over, and I have no idea what's going on. And she'll sit me down, and she'll say, okay, just stay there, maybe put a drink next to me so I can, okay, I'm just staring into space. And the whole thing is you've said something that's absolutely triggered an idea, and I'm composing in my head, and I can't stop myself. I just have to go because I get so little sleep. I'm actually dreaming while I'm awake, just like that. And she'll come back, she'll say, sorry about that, he's writing. Don't worry, you'll see it later on. And Joanne does exactly the same thing when she is cooking, because she's an amazing, phenomenal chef. And she'll be putting the tastes together in her mind. And if I go up and I say, oh, you know what, let me taste that. Oh, I need some more salt. She will chase me out of the kitchen, because I have just interrupted the whole process. And that's why I don't cook, because she's so much better than I am. And I'll say that to the grave.
Erin, I don't know if this is all artists who seem to recognize it often, but that whole something triggers and suddenly you're in your own world. You're trying to be a normal human being and you can finish the conversation without insulting, but that's like 5%, if that. A lot of times with our conflicts we've had this discussion. We've already hashed all this out. And I didn't quite realize that he was composing the whole time and he has no memory of it whatsoever. Do you find that happens with you? And if so, does your scheduling help? Are you able
No,
to
I think
shut that composition down because you know this is scheduled time?
I'm not sure I experience it quite the same as you, but I know my mind wanders sometimes. And so for that, it's not scheduling that helps, it's yoga that helps. Because I've got enough practice with lots of years of yoga behind me I'm still tempted to judge myself about it, but at least some practice with, like, okay, just bring yourself back, when you catch yourself doing it, bring yourself back. I don't have it where like I lose memory though of like a whole.
Have you ever had somebody talking to you while you're watching television?
Yeah.
Okay, and they say something, they're talking to you, and you always have to say, you have to stop and say, wait a minute, what were you just saying?
You're pretty
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're watching the film here. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no. I'll just go ahead. Yeah, you can paint Robbie blue. I don't know. Okay.
I'm almost jealous. I'm actually kind of jealous because it seems like this, like you couldn't be stopped from writing. I can be stopped from writing. I can stop myself from writing, and until I make space for it and get myself like in a good safe space, I won't necessarily have the channel open in that way. So I'm sure there are times where it's really obnoxious to just have the lightning just strike you like that. But the opposite also has its problems where you're
Don't
just
be
like
too jealous. Depends on part of the process he's in, because he'll be out there typing away a mile a minute, and I know he's not eating anything all day, and I try to figure out the best way to sneak in and not have him notice me,
Mhm.
and just have a sandwich suddenly appear, because if I even say, hey, do you want a sandwich? Or if he notices me put it down, sometimes he'll get into an absolute fit because I just interrupted the process and now it's gone.
So, will you divorce him and marry me, please? My wife refuses. So I kind of experienced the same thing with a slightly different form from either of you, in that I'm deep into it. My wife walks and she refuses to not interrupt. When there's cat puke on the carpet, she's got to come and tell me. She refuses to, and I don't mean to portray her as petty. Some things are really serious, and she refuses to, she respects and supports my writing, but if I'm in there writing and I'm deep into it, she comes in and she's like 5 sentences into it, and I do that thing where I come out of it, and there's 5 or 6 sentences that I know she said something, but I have to say, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And she'll say, you're deaf. No, I was just a couple of million light years away. And I'll say, okay, now what is it? And she'll tell me what it is, and if it is really important, I'll get up and take care of it. But if it's not, and she's satisfied that she's told me, and she turns around and leaves, I don't have any trouble just kind of switching gears back to where I was before, getting back into it.
They say that kind of interruption on average takes about 20 minutes to get back to where you were. Like once you've gone from wherever light years away. Not for you?
No. I'll go back and read a paragraph of what I just written, and I'll be right back into it. I think it's because my writing process involves. I probably, in a sense, outline things, but I do it all up here with just little notes on Post-its and things like that. Think before I actually sit down and start seriously writing. And I've got little Post-it, little notes, and each Post-it or each little note might just be a few words, half a dozen words, but that triggers all this thinking I've done, and it triggers dialogue that I've rehearsed and things like that. And so just kind of going back into a scene that I'm halfway through, it like triggers all that thinking again, and I go right back into it. I know what I'm going to.
I outline. Obsessively outline. Oh, yeah. No, I obsessively outline. So when I'm into the process, it doesn't take me quite so long to get back into it, but Joanne, on occasion, while I've been working on a project, I'm sitting there, I'm typing 110 words a minute, okay, and I'm flying through a scene, and I'm in the middle of the scene, she walks in and she says, Will, do you want to come out to eat with us? And I'm sitting here going, shaking my head and covering my ears and purposefully not even looking at her, just go away, damn it, I lost it. Okay, now I gotta back up and go, okay, what was I need? Oh my, was I good? Read through this? And it's nothing I can't get back into, but it's absolutely infuriating.
How long do you think it does take you?
Huh?
How long to go back?
It depends. It really depends. For instance, how long ago did we come off for a week? Yeah, about a month and a half ago, we came off the road for a week. Okay, I went into a 150-year-old carriage house on the second floor, which had power running to it. Very unreliable power, but I hooked up and I started work. Okay, and I started at 89,000 words where I left off last time, and I ended at 189,000 words or something like this. Okay, in a week. Okay, and I said, I know exactly where I got to go, the whole 9 yards. However, don't interrupt me. And I would go out and I would write for 16 hours a day. You take your little breaks where you're stopping, you're thinking about what you're doing next, and yes, you're checking your outline, yeah. And if she had been coming in to interrupt me, if she hadn't just been sneaking in or sending our son in just to drop down some food and turn around and leave quietly, I would have gotten half of that written.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what you're in the middle of. I mean, there's some things where how many times are you able to wake yourself out of a dream and think, you know what, I wish I knew what happened, go back and find out what that dream was at the end. Okay, it doesn't happen, right? But
so in my wife's defense, she does interrupt me like that. If it's not, nobody's died, it's not something urgent. I say, I'm in the middle of something, I'm in the middle of a scene, can we do this later? And she says, okay, and she walks out. And she says, 2 hours later and 30 scenes, I'm still writing, and I've completely forgotten about it. All right, and then, she's upset, and rightfully so.
So tolerance sounds like is a big.
Well, we have to be tolerant of each other.
Yeah, like it seems like a overriding, like a commonality that makes things work among artists.
Well, I guess The Shining's not really too much of a horror story. It's more about when you hear me in here typing, don't come in the room. Like he wrote
I can totally understand King's thought. I mean, think about it. You've got an individual who has left reality, who is in a psychotic state for the most part, okay, or a schizophrenic state, who is releasing that schizophrenic, knows that they're in that state, and is releasing it through the keyboard, okay, and they're going to be able to step back from that, so you still have your handle on reality, okay, and all of a sudden you interrupt them, and they're, what? Okay, and I mean, how do you tell somebody, I'm sorry, what you were saying was not all that important to me at the moment, I was busy killing somebody, how do you tell them that? You just say, what were you saying? And if your partner doesn't understand that you're going to be two places at the same time, and they are not important in the least when you are in the middle of your process. I mean, unless you are on fire, okay, I don't want you walking in here. And if you are on fire, you better not have done it to yourself.
In my experience, at least, to date, I have not met anyone who can do that. You're a special person who can just kind of disengage and walk away and not do what your wife does and just interrupt. That's why I had to get an office. I mean, my ex, he could not help himself. I didn't even really fault him. It was just kind of being aware of how it was affecting me and us to have my concentration interrupted like that. So I do recommend having a space outside of the home if possible. But then if it's a cafe, you have to unplug to go to the bathroom or leave, ask some stranger to watch your laptop. If it's an office, you have an outlay. There's never going to be a perfect solution, but at least for me, that's important.
My wife did learn when I still had my day job, and I'd be in my office, and I've got an international conference call going. I'm at home working from home. I've got an international conference call going with someone from Beijing, someone from Japan, someone from Berlin, and she learned not to walk in the office and say, the toilet's overflowing and there's shit all over the floor. Somebody's there saying, who said that? I don't know. So she does kind of walk in and look carefully and see what's going on before she announces there's shit all over.
Something that's worked really well for my husband and I is like messaging each other across the house. Because if he is on a conference call like that, he can ignore it for as long as he wants. And I'm not physically in his face.
Do you guys
that's the
share-
messenger's-
But when there's shit on the
Okay.
floor, the messaging doesn't work.
If there's shit on the floor, it's my problem.
Oh, okay.
Fortunately, because I suppose I must have a very obsessive personality, and I obsess on. No, I obsess.
Oh, I would have never guessed that.
No, I give my full attention to television. I've got writer's television, but I've got it almost all the time. And if I'm focused on you, I am focused on you, Jim. Everybody else.
It's scary.
Full attention.
Now I'm really scared.
But when I'm focused on my wife, she has my absolute full attention. Okay, and it's just like the day we got married. It's like I can't take my eyes off of you. Okay.
Until I say something that triggers a plot idea.
But now the television is whoop, over here, and oh yes, I'm looking out into the distance. But it's one of those things, and I guess that's something we've come to learn. We've got that television. When Joanne is focused on our son, it doesn't matter what he says or does, he's wrong. Okay.
But don't all of you? Don't you think that that's the funnest part of the creative process when you're so deep into it that you're just completely lost?
Oh,
in it?
Absolutely.
That
It's
is
almost
the funnest part.
orgasmic.
Yeah,
That's the most
that's what
painful-
you live for.
That's the most painful part to have interrupted.
Yeah.
Deep into.
It's so hard won. I mean, when you're finally there, it's like, oh, thank God, I finally have made it. Like, so many hurdles to be in this moment right now.
Now, here's one advantage I have. I don't set an alarm, and I'm up at anywhere between 5 and 6 a.m. Okay, I'm an early riser without an alarm. All right. My wife, she would stay up till 3 a.m. and sleep till noon every day. She's a night owl, and so she's usually in bed until about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So I get up early, and I have like 4 or 5 hours where it's just me, dead silent, and I get an enormous amount. The other side of that is that I'm deep into it when she gets up. I'm just deep into it when she gets up. So I have that little advantage.
That's why right in the middle of the night, the phone's not ringing, no distractions. When you look up in 5-6 hours, where did they go? Because you were just totally in that moment.
Yeah.
So, like, when do you start?
Oh, it's usually around maybe 10 p.m. and then end somewhere around 3:30 or 4. You can tell when the eyes start to go and you get that. It's like just turn it off, walk away, because you're not going to be able to do anything else with it.
I actually reached that point with Captivity of Choice, which will be coming out in April if you want to buy it. When I was doing it in that writer's bench, because I knew I only had a week to finish this. I have a week to finish this because I am so overloaded with work constantly, and I'm taking the time off, a full week off, and that's costing me $6,000, right, worth of income. So I'm going to put all of it. I got to the night before last, and here I've got the last chapter that I think is the last chapter, and I'm pounding through it, and I'm so tired, and I want to go to sleep, but I know if I stop, I'm never going to finish this, and so I'm just going. By the time I finally stop, boom, the end, boom, and I'm okay. I'm pretty sure that I'm all done now, and then I walk outside and I do a little dance. I did it. I really did. Yes, I did. And Joanne has fun, and my dogs all jump up around and they want to dance and bite me, and then. But anyways, that's about that's about where that is. There were times when I absolutely have to keep working no matter what.
Yeah.
But not everybody can do that, and that's part of my job. Is even if I'm tired, I have to get the job done because somebody's going to lose their job, somebody's going to lose their life, somebody's going to get sick. It doesn't matter. I have to finish.
Some people use coffee. I use sugar myself.
Yeah. Coffee. I have a percolator set up, and I just.
It's interesting. I do wonder how much of a gendered experience that is, because my side of it is just sort of, I edit, and I'm helping people with their stories all the time, and it is my form of procrastination to do like dishes and things around the house before. I'm actually very proud right now that my dishes are still in the sink, because it means I have had my priorities straight for the day, but I can be interrupted. interested. I can get sidetracked, and so it's a different set of problems.
So you mean you can get pulled off of it, and now you're not going to get back to it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm patient, but to the point where it's like maybe I need to be less patient, more selfish as a writer and an artist to be able to get more, to produce more.
I know that when I start writing, I have to get myself in the mood to get started. And it sounds ridiculous, and it's such a trope. It is true. I'm going to play this game of solitaire, and if I win, that means this book is going to be great, and I'm going to start writing. Damn, I lost. Okay, I'm going to play one more game of solitaire, and this time, if I win, it's going to be a great book, and I'll start writing. Ha-ha, I won. Okay, now, it was a dark and stormy night. Oh, this is going to be so good. I mean, until it gets to the end, and they throw it away.
Has anybody else lived in a writing artist or any kind of artist colony situation, or interested in those dynamics? Question? No. Okay.
Because I did Arcosanti, and I was, are you familiar with Arcosanti up in northern Arizona?
I don't think so.
Well, the guy built these domes out of concrete, and it's supposed to be all, I don't know, solar, geothermal, I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's all energy efficient. And you can rent a place for next to nothing and be there as an artist. And we did the tour, and I just had this realization that it would be a lot of fun, but it would make me really crazy after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just be in that space, it would be really cool.
Yeah.
In the 80s, my wife and I lived just outside of Laguna Beach, California. And every year they have a big art festival in Laguna Canyon. And there's 3 big art festivals. And they're all juried, but it goes on for 6 weeks. Okay? And when we first moved there, my wife submitted some stuff and was juried in 3 media, actually, which was surprising. And I was thinking, this is going to be cool. A lot of egalitarian artists, doing beautiful things. And I went to the first meeting, and I've never met such a bunch of bigoted, narrow-minded people in my life. They were at each other's throats. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, there's a great love of pecking order.
I was the non-artist, and at one point, a few years later, they wanted me to run for president because I understood business and finance and all that stuff. Time to go. I got an appointment.
It's not just artists. It's not just artists. I took Mensa tests, right? Yeah, this is way back in the 80s. Took Mensa tests, and I passed the Mensa test with a 178. Right? It's like, okay, you're allowed to join. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to join. Right? So they said, well, why don't you come to one of our meetings? And we're having a little get together, and they have a little get together. And the one thing that I can say for them is all of them liked anchovy pizza for some ridiculous reason. Okay. Otherwise, there was no reason for Mensa. Mensa had no reason other than to say, hey, you know what? I'm so much smarter than you are.
Mensa?
Mensa. Oh, yeah. Good Lord. The most self-congratulatory, stare down their nose at common people. Here I am. I have grown up working class. Okay. I have been surrounded by people who would either beat you to death or who would either beat you to death or would beat somebody else to death for you. There is no in between. They're either a loyal friend or you're a bitter enemy, and you band together because life is harsh and we're going to be harsher, right? And now you're with these people who have no concept about the realities of life. No concept. We're so smart. We have no idea what's going on, but we're so smart. And I turned around and I said, you know what, I don't have nothing to do with you. And they said, well, why? Why don't you want to join? I said, because I don't like anchovies.
That's something that I was going to touch on. To recognize a toxic environment and walk away. That's one of the things that I learned from my living with artists experiences. It doesn't mean that it's toxic for the next person in the artist colony, but if you're finding it's interfering in your ability to get in the groove where it's supposed to be helping, which is why you got into the situation, then it is really just better to walk away and find a different situation.
Anyways, we're down to like the last 5 minutes.
I would agree with that statement. That's all I would say.
Closing statements.
Yeah, all across the board with toxic people, even if you're in a relationship with them or not, they can mess you up. So it's best to get rid of them.
And how do you know when you what are the cues when you're feeling like, oh, this isn't working out?
If they're just trying to be just a drain on you or just want things from you and not giving anything back in return.
The drain,
Mhm.
yeah, big time. When you find yourself lying on the floor, like, why am I so tired?
Closing statement.
No, it's okay.
Closing statement.
Even though I mentioned it a couple of times, my life is not ruled by fear of the 38 caliber circumcision. Okay?
Closing statement. I feel that the 50 caliber handgun is possibly the greatest invention to date by mankind until they come out with something even more powerful, and I will wear that on my head. It's what I dream of. I want a Desert Eagle. I'm not allowed to buy one. My wife won't let me have one because she is mean, because she controls the purse strings.
Because you have not been attacked by a Buick that you've had to kill yet.
Well, what happens when I am, huh?
I think we're not far away from smart boys.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you everybody for
Thank
coming.
you.